Hi guys, it's Brad here from the PGSC. We're back with another deck tutorial. This time it's been a request from one of the guys at our locals, Orlando. He's asked if I can do a deck profile on the deck I beat him with this week. So you'll all probably have seen it. It's going to be Salamangreats. Really good new structure deck. So I'm just going to go through my deck list, how it looks like, some recommended cards, and maybe a couple of combos and maybe the key places to hit the deck when you're playing against it. So my deck is going to start off with 3 of the cards you always want to see in your opening hand, which is Gazelle. So Gazelle, for those that who don't know, when a Salamangreat card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, when this card is normally special summoned, you can send a Salamangreat card, that's a monster, spell or trap, from your deck to your grave. It's a really strong card. You pretty much always want to see that in your opening hand. You always want to get it back into your hand. It's just, it's an absolute combo starter. You can really go for a really strong turn on board if you open that. Next up is Spinny. This is the one that goes great with Gazelle. So both are level 3 fires. And Spinny, the effect is, if you control a Salamangreat card, you can target one monster in the field, discard this card and it gains 500 attack. So that does trigger Gazelle's effect if it's sent from hand that way. But the other effect is when it's engraved, if you control a Salamangreat, you can special summon that card but banish it when it leaves the field. So those two work really well together, and if it's used for Xyz, it doesn't get banished. So you're always looking to try and get those two out straight away, and then you can go into your Xyz monster that we'll get to. So next up we have 3 Foxy. So some decks are playing less than 3. I like 3 because it's a play starter. I have really bad luck, so I've found that in this deck, just getting to my play starters can sometimes be a bit tricky despite playing so many of them. So the effect when this card is summoned is you can reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can add a Salamangreat card amongst that to your hand. So the other effect, you only get one effect per turn, mind you. Spinny and Gazelle, you get both effects. The Foxy, you only get one of the effects. If there's a face-up spell trap card, you can discard a Salamangreat and special summon it, then you can pop a spell trap on the field that's face up. So things like Skill Drain, you can resolve the effect under Skill Drain because it activates and resolves in grave. And again, level 3, really good. And your other benefit of this is it can go into Balinks like the rest of your normal summonable Salamangreats. Next we have 1 Falco. So Falco's effect is if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target a Salamangreat spell trap in your grave and set it to your side of the field. And the other effect is if it's in the grave, you can target a Salamangreat monster you control, return it to the hand. If you do a special summon this, again you only get 1 effect per turn, and this one is a level 4, so you're mostly looking to try and get to your rank 3 Mariah Stelio, but the other one that goes well with this is Jack Jaguar. So Jack Jaguar's effect is that it inflicts piercing damage, but the main one you're going to be using is if it's in the grave, you can shuffle in a Salamangreat card from your graveyard to your deck, so extra deck or main deck, special summon it to a link zone Salamangreat monster points to. So these two help you get into your rank 4s. So that's the main deck Salamangreat monsters. I also play, we'll go for the usual one first. So 3 Lady Debug. When this card is normal special summoned, you can add a level 3 or lower Cyberse monster from your deck to your hand. So that adds your Gazelle, you add your Spinny, or your Foxy. You're usually going to be adding Gazelle or Spinny. You can also go into your Balinks with that. It's the only normal summon you're going to be using that isn't fire. So most of the time you can play Gozen in the match and in the deck, and it's not really affected other than Lady Debug. The other play starter we use, well I use, is Flame Buffalo. I really like Flame Buffalo. So the effect is when it's sent to the grave, you can discard a Cyberse and draw 2 cards. It's not cost to discard, and you can chain block this with Balinks, or the other way about, whatever one you're more dependent on. It's also a level 3 fire, you can add it back off of your Sunlight Wolf. It also fuels your grave, gets you draw. I really like it, a lot of people aren't playing it. I find it really useful, it's just another play starter. You're playing plenty of Cyberse to discard for it anyway. Next up we're going into a hand trap, so 3 Veiler and 3 Ash. So Ash is really good because you can add it back off of your Sunlight Wolf when something's special summoned, and Veiler is just seems to be a really good hand trap at the moment. So that's it for the monsters of the deck. Next up we've got spells, so we've got 3 Salamangreat Circle. So you can use one of the effects, it either adds a Salamangreat monster from your deck to your hand, or you can target a Salamangreat Link monster you control and it's unaffected by monster effects this turn. So that's quick play, so it acts sort of like Ego Booster for you Skystrike fans. You can only activate 1 per turn as well, so even if you had it back off of Sunlight Wolf, you can only activate it once. Next up we have the 1 Salamangreat Sanctuary. So this is the card you'll add off of Balinks. Most people won't play 1 because you can add it back. It sucks a bit if you open it, but you're really using this to help reincarnation link your monsters. So for the likes of Sunlight Wolf that requires 2 fire effect monsters, you can use another Sunlight Wolf as the total summoning condition, and then you get effects if you have cards that are reincarnation summoned. Next up we have 1 Will of the Salamangreat. So this has 2 effects, you can use 1 of them per turn. You can either special summon a Salamangreat monster from your hand or graveyard, and that just is in any position, so you can summon out a link monster from your grave. If you have that in Sanctuary, it means you can go straight back into a reincarnation linked Wolf, or even a Heat Leo. The other effect is you can target a Salamangreat link monster that was reincarnation linked. You can send this to the grave and then special summon Salamangreats in defense up to that number from your graveyard. So if you have a Heat Leo, that's 3 special summons straight away, and it will trigger your Gazelle effect, and it's a really strong card, especially later in the game. Just bring things back. Next, Fusion of Fire. So this card works essentially like Super Poly. It's really strong in the mirror, still strong against other decks, but in the mirror this card is really great. You can fusion summon 1 Salamangreat monster using monsters from either side of the field. So if you're playing in the mirror, you can get rid of 2 of their monsters for the cost of 1 card and get out a really strong Violet Chimera. Next up we have Foolish Burial. Send your Spinny or any other that you need to get in grave. So you can send your Foxy and you can summon it back out and pop a tricky card in the field. Next up is 3 Call by the Grave. You're not wanting your stuff to be ashed, especially things like your Mirage Stalio. So Call by the Grave, just a good choice in the deck. Next up we have 2 Salamangreat Roar. So this is counter trap, and if you control a Salamangreat link monster, you can negate the activation of a monster or a spell or a trap. Also has a second effect: when a Salamangreat monster is reincarnation linked, you can set this card from your graveyard to your field, but banish it when leaves field. That's less relevant. You're really using it. You're going to be recycling it with Wolf more often than not. Next up is Rage. So Rage is, you get 2 effects. You can activate 1 of them. You can either send a Salamangreat monster from your hand or face up in the field to the grave to destroy a card in the field, or you can target a Salamangreat monster that was reincarnation linked, and then you can non-targeting destroy cards in the field up to that monster's link rating. So if you have a Sunlight Wolf for a Heat Leo that's been reincarnation linked, it's just an absolute blowout. Non-targeting, and the second effect is free, there's no cost for it, you don't need to send anything. You recycle both of them. If you open one, you can search the other one by sending it with Gazelle and then adding it back. Next up we have 3 Infinite Impermanence. Just really strong card. Don't think there's really more to say about that. And for some reason it's not with the rest of the spells, but we have Twin Twister. You really don't like back row decks. So it also helps you get something in grave if you want to activate a Gazelle. So next up we have the X deck. So I personally play 3 Bale Links in the grind game. It's really great. It protects all your monsters. Well, most of your monsters because they're mostly Salamangreats, but the first effect is when it's summoned you can add the Salamangreat Sanctuary, and the second effect is if a Salamangreat would be destroyed by a battle card effect, you can banish this from your graveyard instead. It starts most of your plays. It's really just a... I don't know. I started playing it at 2, wanted to see it more often, so I bumped up to 3 and I haven't had a problem. Next up, MVP of the deck. I really hope this comes in the OTS pack as well, just to make it a bit more accessible. But Salamangreat Sunlit Wolf has 2 really strong effects. First one is if a monster is normal or special summoned to a link zone opponents to, so that includes your opponents if it's in the extra monster zone, you can add back a fire effect monster from your just 1 fire monster from your graveyard to your hand. So that includes Ash. If you're playing Kaijus, it can add back a Dogoran. It's not just Salamangreats, which makes it really, really great. The second effect is if it's been reincarnation linked once per turn, you can just add back a Salamangreat spell trap from your graveyard to your hand. So that gets you back your traps, so you can just keep setting them every turn. You can get your circle to keep searching. It's really, really strong card, and you can recycle itself so easily using Jack Jaguar. Next up, now onto the link 3, you've got Salamangreat Heat Leo. So the first effect is when it's link summoned, you can target a card your opponent controls in their spell and trap zone, and then shuffle it back into the deck. So it can't do field spells, but it can do any back row. The other effect is you can target a card your opponent controls and a card in your graveyard. So a card on the field and a card in your graveyard, and that monster's effect attack on field becomes the same as that in grave. So if you've played like an Ash or a Veiler, you can just make something on the field 0. This works really well with Violet Chimera, and neither effect is once per turn. So if you reincarnation link that, you're shuffling 2 things away and you can just attack with 2 things on the field. Or increase 2 things on your field if you're that way inclined. Next up is 1 Mirage Stalio. So just requires 2 level 3 monsters. You detach a card and special summon a Salamangreat card from your deck in defense mode. There's no level restriction, so you can summon out your Beat Bison or a Fowl or any of these. The other effect is if it's used as link material for a Salamangreat monster, you can bounce 1 monster on the field. So it works really well with things like Kaiju, so you can Kaiju the monster, summon that, link it away, get your Kaiju back, do something else, or you can just get rid of things on the field. Really good card. That's probably what your opponent's going to look at ashing or veilering, because it's pretty key in the main combos. Next up is your Fusion of Fire target, which is Violet Chimera. So when this is fusion summoned, it gains attack equal to half the combined attack of the monsters used for its summon till the end of the turn. And if this card attacked a monster with an attack different than its original, you inflict double damage. So even if you use Spinny to increase your opponent's monster attack, this still inflicts double damage. The last effect is the least relevant one, which is if it's fusion summoned using a Salamangreat Violet Chimera as fusion material, any monster that attacks, its attack automatically becomes 0 during damage calculation. So if you're playing the mirror and they have a Violet Chimera and you can Fusion and Fire it away, fantastic, that's pretty much a guaranteed OTK. Otherwise it's not really going to come up. Me and Terry from the last video, we are trying to look at a Violet Chimera Turbo just for a bit of fun, so look out for that probably in the next week. So that's all your Salamangreats. Next up we have Abyss Dweller. This is what you're making with your Jack Jaguar and the Falco. It stops the mirror because it will stop your opponent's spinnies, or it can stop their Falco, Foxy, anything. It's also really good against danger decks and things like that. So really strong card against a lot of matchups. Next up is Hita the Fire Charmer. Her summoning requirement is just 2 monsters, including 1 fire monster. So most of your monsters are fire, but even if you get, say, Ibleed, you can summon that. Fun fact, you can also summon Balinks off of an Ibleed. Hita is really strong in the mirror. You can special summon a fire monster from your opponent's grave, so you can special summon a Gazelle from their grave, use the effect. You can special summon, an Ash and get effects off. It works really well in the mirror, works well against decks playing things like Ash, but it has its uses. Really strong in the mirror. Apart from that, it's quite niche. Sometimes gets you into a Heat Leo, because you're only playing Heat Leo as your level 3, Link 3. Next up, Nightmare Phoenix. It's still a fire. I forgot to mention, Mirage Stalio. Use the effect, it locks you into fire effect, so that's why we play the Nightmare Phoenix. We don't play any of the other Nightmares because we're locked into fire a lot of the time. So well know what Phoenix does. It's your really strong card. In general, works well in the deck because it's fire. Next up we have Update Jammer. So Update Jammer requires 2 Cyberse monsters, and the relevant effect you're using is when it's used as link material, the monster that's summoned using it can attack twice that turn. So the monster we're summoning with it is Borreload. Getting Borreload to attack twice can just completely OTK. Because you can just steal all their stuff, attack them. I did have one game where I made Borreload using Update Jammer, attacked, stole both these monsters. He then Monster Reborn my Update Jammer, made his own Borreload Dragon, stole 3 of my things, and I couldn't come back from it. So, provided your opponent doesn't get the Monster Reborn and have Borreload, it's really good line of play to go down. And finally, my side deck. So I'm anticipating coming up against a lot of mirror matches, so I play Ghost Reaper. If I can Sunlight Wolf, if you get rid of the Sunlight Wolf, that is pretty much game over. They cannot recycle nearly as much as they want to. But also, depending on what they play first, if you Ghost Reaper when they normal summon, well, if they say get Lady Debug, they add a card, and then you Ghost Reaper. If you Ghost Reaper Balinks, a lot of the time it can shut down their plays. So I think it's a really strong card in the mirror. I think that and Fusion of Fire or Super Poly end up being just the strongest cards in the mirror. Next up is Red Reboot. So against Altergeist, if you Red Reboot, you can more than likely go into Heat Leo and shuffle things away anyway. So Red Reboot doesn't really hurt you, and it can just help you get to that OTK. Next up, we have 2 Droll. I'm only playing 2. I don't really feel like 3 was necessary, but against danger decks, you can just shut them down. Then we have, this is again for the mirror mostly, but it does work against a lot of decks currently. So we've got Kaijus. So Gamma Seal because it's the lowest, Dogoran because it's the fire and you can add it back, and then Kumongous because Subterra can be really annoying, and if they play the Gozen, it means you can still summon it to their side of the field because it's an earth. And then finally 3 Pancratops. Is Pancratops, really good card, stops as I thought plays and things. So you're really wanting to go first in this deck, but I decide to go second. So that's the deck profile. We'll go on to a couple of key things about the deck. So if you start with a Gazelle and a Spinny, you can normal summon Spinny, link it off into Baelinks. You can then Chainlink 1, activate Baelinks. Chainlink 2, you can reveal Gazelle to special summon it from hand. This only works in the TCG, it doesn't work in the OCG, because of in this, these two activate simultaneously, so you can order your chain links. In the OCG, they don't act simultaneously, so you don't get to choose. Your opponent gets a chance to respond to this before you get to activate this effect to summon. So you activate the effect of Baelinks to summon that. You then get your Sanctuary. So a lot of people tend to add this, and I've seen them where they'll just straight away activate it. Make sure you don't, because Gazelle is an optional effect on summon. So if you activate this straight away, you're missing your opportunity to activate Gazelle on summon. So you can activate Gazelle's effect now, once you've searched this. So you're really in this situation wanting to send one of your traps. If you open one, search the other. If not, it depends on the matchup, what you want to go against. So sometimes it's Roar, sometimes it's Rage. This instance we'll say Roar. Doesn't really matter when you activate this, because you can special summon Spinny. Then you can overlay for your Mirage Stalio. You can then activate Mirage Stalio effect, so you're almost always wanting to detach Gazelle first, so that you can add it back off of the Sunlight Wolf. So the effect of Mirage Stalio to special summon Jaguar. You'll then link these two away for your Sunlight Wolf. Now, at any point you can activate this up until now. So then Sanctuary allows you to summon this. So effective Sunlight Wolf, because it's reincarnation linked, you can add this back to your hand. And then you can activate the effect of Jaguar, shuffling in your Sunlight Wolf, special summon that. Effective Sunlight Wolf, because something's been normally special summoned, you can add back a Gazelle. So you can then set your Roar, and you still have a Gazelle in hand for next turn. So that's probably one of your most common combos you're going to be using. Other than that, you're really looking to open either Buffalo, Lady Debug, or Foxy, and you always want to see Gazelle or Circle, which is just a way to get Gazelle. It's the best card in the deck, apart from Sunlight Wolf. These two cards enable the deck to be what it is. Having an ability to recur counter traps, or potentially popping up to 3 cards for free, non-targeting, is such a good card. There's some other tech choices you can do in this, such as the Speed Droids. So if you have Terratop, you can special summon it. It gives you instant access into your Mirage Stalio, because it just requires 2 level 3s. So some people are playing that, some people are playing Reclusia, because it does a number of things in the deck. It's a fire monster, it's a level 3, and it can pop something when it's summoned. So it can do a lot for the deck. It's just a free special summon, so it does work in the deck. I'm trying to think what else I've seen people play. There's a number of different tech choices you can play. A lot of it is just getting to a level 3. I have seen a go second deck that Terry is playing. It's playing a lot of Kaijus. If he's going in the mirror, he's just trying to get rid of that Link monster, because if you get rid of the Link monster, it shuts down your Roar. Your Rage becomes less impactful, and if they don't have those 2 back row, then they're not really going to do much other than have hand traps. So in this, I am playing 3 Impermanence, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, because you have room. You can also play the 3 called by the 3 twin twisters. It's a fairly small compact engine that just has really impactful effects. So top tips for playing against the deck: if you can get rid of the Link monster, great. Kaiju is probably the best way because they don't even have a chance to negate it with Roar. If you can stop the Mirage Stalio, a lot of the time that'll help. Or if you can keep monsters off their field, because most of their effects require a Salamangreat monster. So Spinny, Falco and Jaguar all require a Salamangreat monster to be on field. Your Gazelle only works when a Salamangreat is sent, so otherwise they'll have to use the normal summon on it. So if you can just sort of keep the Salamangreats off their field, they're going to struggle. A lot of the time when I've lost, it's been just not seeing any Salamangreats in my opening hand. So that's why I am playing the 3 Gazelle, the 3 Foxy, the 3 Lady Debug and the 2 Flame Buffalo. You can main Super Poly. I know some people are playing Super Poly to play against the deck. I've seen a Subterra deck that's playing Super Poly just so that they can get rid of, you know, if they set up the usual board of having Sunlight Wolf, Jaguar and Mirage Stalio, if you play Super Poly you can get rid of your Sunlight Wolf and Mirage Stalio and they can't do anything about it. It shuts off most of their back row if it's going to be Rage or Roar, and they just can't do anything about it. So hopefully this has been helpful for those of you who aren't familiar with the deck. Hopefully Orlando, you'll be able to learn something from this and be able to play against it a bit better next time. This has been a requested deck. If anyone else has any other requests, we do have the ability to try and play as many decks as we can, try and show as many decks as we can. So if you have any requests, put it in the comments below. Please remember to like and share, and thanks for watching.